her heart constricted and bunched up in a wad of hurt that tied her stomach in disappointed, bitter knots. She refused to speak to anyone, even Robert. Her eyes stared listlessly at the wall, and she twisted between her fingers a tiny cap she had knitted for the little girl she had been sure God had finally given her. I was so mad at God, she recalled now, the last miscarriage on her mind. Robert had watched her in twisted pain, his own faith already shaky. God doesn't care about us, he had said, his voice hard with anger. She knew she had to be strong for Robert, had to defend God, to remind her husband of the Lord's mercy, but with her own feelings so raw, she had said nothing. That's why I don't go to church, Robert had continued. Why? All God does is make bad things happen. What did we ever do to him? We can't blame God, she finally said. Her life had to be the example to help him see his way, finally, fully to the Lord. So she had pulled herself from the depths of depression. But secretly, she battled, even now, as the moonlight cast a pale glow over the bed, the spot now cold where her husband had lain only minutes before. I don't know how much more I can take. How do I have faith when you keep taking away from me the one thing I want most? I'm not a bad person. What about all those who do really bad things and you bless them still? Why do you do this to me, Lord? She shook her head to clear it of those thoughts. She tried to focus on the good in her life. I am blessed. I love my life. I'm married to a wonderful man. I have my health. I have. She couldn't finish the thought. The one thing she was missing overshadowed all she had, and if she didn't get it, she knew she would die. If she didn't have a baby, she'd simply die. A baby was something Robert could take or leave, but he knew how desperately his wife longed for a child. He sat on the hood of the car under the carport, the sounds of the Texas night his only company. Well, the sounds and his thoughts. Sometimes, in the still of the night, when the feelings of inadequacy would haunt him for not being able to give her the one thing she craved more than anything else, he wondered why it mattered to her so much. Am I not enough? Wasn't their life all right even without a child? Didn't he shower her with affection and surprise her with gifts? Wasn't he all she needed? But he knew the answer. He hadn't missed the fact that she hadn't repeated the words when they were in bed. When he told her she was all he needed, she hadn't been able to say the same in return. I try as hard as I can. He spat the words out in frustration, jabbing his fist in the air. No matter what I do, it'll never be enough, not unless I give her a baby. But he squeezed those thoughts from his mind. Stop thinking like that, he told himself. Everything is all right. Everything will be all right. Chapter 1. Robert remembered the first time he saw Rose. She was the new kid in school, all shy-like, her sandy hair pulled back into a tight ponytail, her knees shiny from too much baby oil. She was tall and slender, a dream in a flowered pink cotton dress that the wind flirted with in the slightest way. She dropped her books as she seemed to float up the steps to the building and unknowingly into his heart. He stopped to help her pick them up. From that moment, on the stone steps of Clear Love Colored High School on a blue sky in 1954, he was hooked. It seemed unreal sometimes that they had been together since that day, and when he was in the 10th grade and she was in the 9th. How quickly 20 years had passed. They hadn't started out as an item, a couple. No, he wouldn't have dared to approach her like that. Not him. Not with, well, Robert shook his head to clear the thoughts. Reminiscing wouldn't get him through this 2-inch thick stack of overdue freshman research papers. But as he tried to get his mind back to grading, a tiny smile tugged at the corners of his lips. He had to admit he was getting excited about the baby they were soon to have. Just think, they would finally get to hear the pitter-patter of little feet running through the house. Rose, his Rose, would have her precious baby, a baby he had finally been able to give her. It had taken all these years, and just when they had vowed not to try anymore, their time had arrived. 20 years of being together, and they now would have a new member to their family.